Once upon a time, in a tiny, jungly corner of Southeast Asia, a mighty superpower set out to stop the spread of communism and accidentally walked into one of the biggest oops in modern military history. Before the US got involved, the Vietnamese just drove out the French, who treated it like a baguette-shaped colony. In theory, Vietnam was supposed to have elections and unify peacefully. In practice, well, the Cold War said, how about no? Here comes the US, all jazzed up with a theory called the domino effect. If Vietnam falls to communism, then Laos, Cambodia, Thailand, your mom, your dog, and eventually Nebraska will fall too. So America backed the South Vietnamese government, which was deeply corrupt and not super popular. The North, backed by the Soviet Union and China, two Cold War besties whose hobbies included sending weapons and advisors, stirring up anti-Western sentiment. America brought napalm, helicopters, rock and roll. 18-year-olds who'd never heard of Saigon until they were drafted to go there. But their enemy wasn't just North Vietnam's regular army. It was also the Viet Cong, guerrilla fighters who dressed like farmers by day and ambushed you by night. They had tunnels that looked like ant colonies on steroids and brutal psychological tactics. Meanwhile, the American public watched every messy moment on TV and thought, they had tunnels, we had TVs. But wait, are we the bad guys now? While the US press questioned everything, North Vietnam censored everything. No room for nuance, no criticism allowed. It turns out, if you only tell your people one version of the story, it's much easier to keep morale high, especially if you throw in a few statues, flags, and revolutionary jingles. Also, let's be honest, the North was willing to fight dirtier than the US ever could. Using human shields? Check. Sacrificing civilians for propaganda wins? Double check. America, constrained by democracy and bad press, simply couldn't outmatch that level of, we don't care if we lose half our population. The war dragged on for years. 20 years to be exact. Presidents came and went. We're winning. Just one more bombing run. Peace with honor. Spoiler, none of that worked. Eventually, in 1975, the game was over. Vietnam was unified, under communist rule. But wait, the plot thickens. Only 4 years after the US pulled out China and Vietnam, the very comrades were shooting at each other. Why? Because suddenly Vietnam was too close to the Soviet Union, and China wasn't having it. History, my friend, is not only ironic, it's petty. The Vietnam War wasn't just about weapons or ideology. It was about misunderstanding cultures, underestimating nationalism, and overestimating your ability to fix someone else's backyard. You can't bomb people into loving democracy. Probably someone very tired in 1972. So next time you hear someone say, why don't we just go in there and teach them a lesson? Remind them of Vietnam. History already did. See you next time.